everyone, welcome your faces back to Pominol's, an impromptu video today because unfortunately, due to a pressing matter, Faz can't join me on the live. So I thought I'd recreate what we're going to do on the live and get you guys and girls involved. I've done a tier maker of everyone we've recruited since 2013. And we're going to see if it was a success or a failure. So genuinely, your list works in 10-year cycles. So obviously them guys you drafted in 2013 will be in their peak of their pride right now. They'll be 28 years old. They'll be flying. So obviously it's recognised the rebuild started a couple of years after that. But I thought it is. Special shout out to my special friend, Navy Blue Beck, who unfortunately, due to the automation of the members, wasn't added on the member list in the last few weeks. So apologies to her. That has been checked. It should be up to date. If you do want to become a member, we'll do a stream sometime next week. Stay tuned. Things are a little bit hectic at home, so I was going to do it this weekend. So stay tuned for that. We'll do another giveaway. And if you want to do that, link is in the description. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. So let's get straight into it. So there is 104. We have ignored the people drafted this year. Blake Acres would probably be a disappointment. Ollie Hollands, Lockie Cowan would be good, I'd imagine. Binns, we haven't seen. Chincotta would be good. Hudson O'Keefe and Lemmy would be that. But we tried to give them at least a year to see what they are all about. So let's get straight into this. And look, first guy, Ben Silvani. That is a name from the past, is it not? And it feels like ages ago, isn't it, that since we saw him? But he was taken pick 70 in the national draft. He never played. You've got to put that as a failure. Aaron Mullet, jeepers. He played just about every game, if you remember. He was a delisted free agent. He ended up playing, what was it, 13 games or something for Carlton? 13 games. Yeah, he was promptly delisted. So S tier is superstar. We'll put him there. As Adam Sard. Adam Sard, what did he cost? Let's have a look. Adam Sard. See, we got Chera. Chera was pick 6 and a future third and third. That's pretty good business. Sard was 887 with 48.78 back. Oh, I want to put him superstar. You know what? I'm putting him there. I don't care. The solo was a failure. It's stiff on this guy, isn't it? But I would have expected by now. I'm not going to say failure because I'd say failure means you are off the list or about to be delisted. Under par, we are sending our love to Murkoff as well. I hope that operation went well. We hope to see him back out so we can redo this. But mid-season draft pick 6, probably a bit under par. A bit under par. Matty Wright. I don't care what anyone says, but Matt Wright was an absolute G, right? I don't care what anyone says. We've got to all agree on that one, haven't we? That Matt Wright was an absolute superstar. He was an absolute jet. So let's go on to the next one. And we're really getting into the barrel of players, aren't we, really, at this stage? Up next, Andreas Everett, the big bloke. He never really got going, did he? But if you do go back to that video that me and Terry did a long time ago in 2019, 2018, he was one of our top 10 kickers for that actual period of time, which is quite scary, isn't it? But Everett, he was taken what? He was traded 32 with 39 back in the day from GWS when we used to go there. He played a few games for us, to be fair. I mean, he played 52, banging 61 goals. Where would you put Andreas? Probably, you've got to say decent, really, from where you've come back from. I mean, that is, I think it would be harsh to say that he wasn't anything else. Andrew Gallucci, jeepers, we are really going back in time, aren't we? Gallucci, he was the famous rookie pick 19 in that 2015 draft, which, if you go back to it, aside from the draftees and Matty Wright, it was a bit of a stonker. That's got to be a failure, hasn't it? This one here, Andrew Phillips, is a failure of the club because he would be, I'm going to put he was decent. He was decent. Like Phillips for Carlton. He was that pick, that big thing we did where we had Lamb, Plowman, Sumner, pick 8 coming in for our round 1 in 2016, 28, 77, you know, like just about everyone came in. But he played 59 games for us, which is a fairly decent outing. Sorry, 27 games for us. He's played the same amount roughly for Essendon. I think he is a little bit stiff, to be honest. Angus Schumacher, everyone talks about him. No one knows where he is anymore, but he was a failure. But he was one of them players, if you remember, who was heavily, heavily linked all the time to us. Billy Schmetz. Jeepers, Billy Schmetz. Do you remember him? That is going well back. Well, I mean, we've stiffed him, but he came in the Tui deal, didn't he? So when you put that in perspective, yeah, you've got to have him as an abject failure. Billy Gowers never got going for Carlton. Blaine Burkhurst, quality bants on Twitter when he's had a few beers, but in reality, a very poor footballer for us. Blaine Johnson, rookie pick 43, 7 games. You've got to say a failure, haven't you? So we've got Blakers here. Under par, we've got to say. We've got to say under par. I think that's fair. Brad Walsh, the Walsh dog. Good-looking rooster, old Brad Walsh. Picked 24, played 3 games, didn't kick that goal, remember? You got to say that's a failure. Brody Kemp, I'm going to put him in good purely because I think where we drafted him for was probably Saucy's best work. In fact, I would say that that's his best pick ever, to be honest. That probably fell and how he strategized to trade down to get that for a player. So I'm going to give that. Calmore, never forgive him for doing shots out of his belly button. Caleb Marchbank, I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to put him in a failure. I think he'll be delisted this year. It's not his fault. Incredibly talented, but we've got to be honest. He's not going to be there next year. And for what he's outputted, if we look at Caleb Marchbank, honestly, it was what? The Pickett deal, and we got a round 2, but we gave up what? Round 1's 2017 for that first rounder for 45 games in return in what? 7 years? Yeah, that's a failure to me. Big Cameron Giles, jeepers, we are going back into the vault on this. And Mr. Cameron Giles was picked 39, never played a game for us. Yeah, we'll put that in the old do not disturb. Cam O'Shea. Who remembers Cam O'Shea? This guy, pre-season pick 1, if you remember, PST, he was mentioned as a superstar just about all the time. Delisted by Port. He went 2 years, destroyed the VFL just because I was sick of talking to him. Cam Paulson has to be a failure, doesn't it? Has to be. Cam Paulson. I remember someone in 18, saying that his start to his year after 19 games was similar to Gary Ablett Jr. Please, heaven forbid, get Gary Ablett Jr. Jesus. Oh, dear. It's good bands. Tell you what, this is a depression session if you come here for amusement. Who have we got next? Who are you? We've got Cam Wood. Cam Wood, that is. Jeepers. Cam Wood, that is again, we are going way back in time, which we like doing, but that was rookie pick 28. He had played 64 games up to that point. He ended up playing 24 for us. Former Collingwood boy. He started off that 2015 year, I remember it well. I would say, even though he was delisted from where you got him, that's an under par. Like, it's not quite a failure because at that point we were right in the rebuild. We got what we wanted. Superstar Charlie Curnow. What a pick. What a pick. And pick 12, he's just coming up to his 100th game. Not a bad return. People talk about Harry, right? But he's only 2 games behind and was drafted, what? 2 picks earlier. So not too bad. Superstar. Absolute legend. Great pick. He did fall down the draft order, obviously, because of his indiscretions, but you know, you live, you learn, don't you? You live, you learn. Who we got next? The Irish Stallion. What a footballer this guy could have been if he didn't go back home. He was very, very, very good. Never really got going for the Blues, though, did he? Like, he had his moments, old Kieran. He had his moments. And Carlton got him in a really good portion of the draft, didn't they? Where was that? That was, like, literally rookie pick 64. 22 games, and they were very good games. I can't really... I'd say it's under par because he went home. But in reality, it could have been. It's one of them, you know, could have been so good, couldn't it? It could have been so very good. Unfortunately, it was never meant to be for us. But we've got his other mate here, Mr. Sheenan, another County Cork guy. Carlton went mental with Irish players. Definitely a failure. He played 6 games. Stiff, maybe, but it is what it is, isn't it? But we really did go through a period, didn't we, if you remember, of looking for these players. Like, we really were desperate to get this. And Killian McDade, I like this guy. Like, this guy here was another one that could have been a special international signing. Never played a game. You've got to put it as a failure. I mean, you've got to take the punt, haven't you, sometimes? Clem Smith. What an icon. Everyone loves a bit of Clem Smith. He was really highly rated. I do remember it was pick 6, wasn't it? He played 7 games for the boys. He did. Was promptly delisted. But, I mean, it's going to go down as a failure, but it was good bants. Corey Durden, I'm going to be really harsh here, but I actually think he's under par from where I thought he would be. But I think it's fair to have him in decent, to be fair, isn't it? He's been solid. I just really like this guy, and I have got so much raps on him. So much raps on this gentleman. It's not funny. But there it is. But next, I'd say this is controversial. Daisy Pete Thomas, the amount of money we paid for him, okay, contract-wise, but 100 games for us and held us over through a tragic period in our time. I think it would be stiff to put him anywhere other than good when you played that many games. He was a staple. You could say decent, but towards the end as well, he was a bit of reliability. Delisted free agent Danny Garinge played 4 games, 4 goals. I want to put him higher. Darcy Lang, definite failure. And I'm not going to have anyone say it anymore. Played 20 games, 12 goals, 58 and a 4 we gave for that. We gave quite a lot for a 4th rounder, and I would have expected a guy who's played 40 games would still be there. Cunners, he's borderline failure, but he's fit. If he gets right, he'll be decent. If he plays the rest of this year, it'll be decent. But there's no escaping his talent. At least he is fit. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the grade. We can't keep putting everyone in failure, can we? We can't. It's probably hard. Dylan Vajot Rainbow. What a name. Do you remember this kid? This kid, he was 28, never played a game, picked 28, and everyone talks about him. And I don't know if it was his name. Failure. Dom Aku. It would be close. I think it's a failure. I don't think he'll play AFL football, and I don't think he'll be there next year. It's harsh. I feel stiff doing it because he's my boy, but you're not expecting too much from there, the Cat B area. But You are as well. Pick 4, 34 games, 40 goals. Decent. Decent. I would have him superstar, but his last year, did he stop development? And could they have played it? And we're going through and we're a year behind with them. Finbar, Chuffing Nora. This is where you've got to question it. Pick 66. Right? Because he's Ben's mate. Yeah, I just can't. I just can't. Fraser Phillips. This is another one. When people talk about the list, I can guarantee a big problem with us is our rookie picks and our late picks from 30. Appalling. Failure. Absolute failure. Fraser Russell. This kid had chiseled features. Old Fraser did. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm going to be honest. 58 unregistered free agent in the rookie draft. He didn't play a game. I want to give him higher there. George Hewitt, right? The Brownlow was won because of him, so that puts him in superstar. The temperamental injuries are a concern. I think it's good because we didn't give much for him, and based on the same process that we gave Dylan, we gave Daisy. I think we've got to be fair. Harrison McCready, failure. I used to hear about this guy all the time. People like Carlton did an article just before they delisted him as well, if you remember. Pick 47. He played 9 games. Everyone was saying he was the next big thing. Didn't happen. Superstar Harry Mackay. I don't care if he's out of form at the moment. Still a superstar for me. Hugh Goddard is a very interesting one, isn't he? He came at a time where it felt like it took ages for Carlton to actually register we needed senior bodies. Rookie pick, played 2 games. We never saw him again. Get him out. Jack Carroll, I'm going to put under par. Jack Martin, it's borderline under par. Jack Noons, we paid sweet bugger all. I don't care what anyone said, probably in our top 5 wingers of the last decade. Superstar Jacob Wheatering, Gartlett. Do you remember this? This is one of them ones that, you know, it beggars belief sometimes. Like, do you know what I mean? I spent all this time, right, doing draft profiles and things like that, right? And then at pick 78, Carlton take Jared Garlett on here. And then they took Cam O'Shea, that drafted that. But it was the last pick. Okay, it was a throwaway pick, right? And that's fair enough, right? You can say that. But there was all sorts of players out there as well that people forget about. And that were taken in the rookie that were probably a better prospect. You could have probably kept that as well to some other point. Brody Myercheck was there. Could have been taken Nick Coleman. Jared Pickett. Oh, gosh. Pickett. I loved Pickett as well. I was hot on him, but I think I fell off the Pickett wagon very quickly compared to everyone else. We traded him in. If you remember, it was that future first that got Reece Palmer and fucking Marchbank and what a horrible trade. It was a salary dump, yes, but what a horrible trade. And I think after the first year, I was off him. I was big off him. So failure. It's tough. It's tough to judge these players because, like, obviously some of them, it maybe was the club's fault, but end of the day, you got to take a bit of responsibility, and we're probably more blaming the club than the players. Jason Tutt, PSD, pick 2. He played 26 games. This shows you the state of the list in Carlton that we took this guy, and he did play 14 games, right? But it was a failure. Like, sometimes you've got to be honest, right? Do you know what I mean? You've got to be honest. It wasn't very good. It was poor at best. It was poor at best. Who have we got next? Who is that fella there? He's next. Jaden Foster. Jeepers, we are going way back. And he's a tough spot when you look at him, to be fair, because if you can't see him on the screen, he looks like about every other player. But 63, he never played a game. I think that's fair to say a failure. Jed Lamb, cult hero we're talking about here. Cult hero. Now, Jed Lamb, he was traded for Menzel in 28, and based on the back, we got rid of Menzel with 28, and we got pick 1. We got round 1 pick from Geelong from memory. Let's have a look. 77, 28. 8. We got loads from this deal, and we played 44 games. Decent at the time. It's tough. Jesse Glass-McCaster, everyone talks about him. He was playing VFL for us after he had a comeback. I'm going to put Jesse Motlop in decent, maybe under par, if I'm honest. He was picked 27. Corey Durden was, you know what, based on that, I'm going to put him under par for now. 10 picks. I think it's stiff, I know, but pick 19 mid-season draft. Decent from Boyd. Good return from where they are. We destroyed Josh DeLuca. Like, considering that he was leading our tackle account for 2 seasons, and it took us until last season when Matt always averaged 1.5 to beat our inside 50 tackle count. As a midfielder is ridiculous. That is entirely on the club. Entirely on the club. Josh Honey has been a failure. I loved him. Father and son pick 53. He's played 111 games. So based on that, it's decent. Talent-wise, you could... I mean, for a pick 50, if you're getting 100 games, regardless of if you think he was gifted him, I know there's that argument, which there's probably some merit. Do I agree with it? Probably not. I think that's more of the state of how our list has been, to be honest. Which just tells you everything. Pick 7 got Kristen Jacks. Let that sink in. Pick 7. Do you know what I mean? Pick 7. That became Paul O'Hearn. So, ironically, it evened out. Both of them played 24 games. But, yeah, it wasn't great. Kim LeBoy scored one of the best goals I've ever seen in pre-season. Never saw him after that. He goes into the failure category. Lockie Fogarty stiff this, but under par. Under par. And I think this is, again, a lot on the club. I think this whole rating system is really on the club. But pick 30 and 51, 38 coming back. You could argue with 38, we didn't even use it. Neither did anyone use pick 30. So it's basically a free deal, really. Not bad. Not bad. I'd say Lockie Plowman has been a failure. I know he's played a lot of games, and I know he gets a lot of hate, but I think as we've kept onto him, as we've kept him on the list, and this is with me being fair and thinking sensibly, right? We got pick 8, which became Harry, Plowman, Sumner, Phillips, Lamb. We lost Mitch Hibbert, Rupert Wheels. Nothing was used. Jared Berry went to Geelong with the future first. It's a good trade, but I think Plowman stuck around too long. 125 games. Lewis Young. This is a tough one and probably needs a little bit of time. But pick 52. You know what? Based on pick 52, decent. Because you wouldn't have got a draftee at pick 52 that would have played the games. Liam Jones, good. Could be even superstar. Probably the way he left. Liam Stocker, pick 13. Even the form he's playing now, he's not a pick 13. I'll stand by that. I think people get warped, and I love Liam Stocker. I was a big fan when he was drafted. We ballsed up his development. But I will say this. He's not pick 13. He's not pick 13. And people can come at me in the comments. I don't really care. But pick 19. Got to look at it that we traded down for that one. You look at that draft, pick 19. Do you know what I mean? Riley Coloured Dawkins, Bobby Hill, James Rowbottom. A lot of players there that could have been better and are having better careers. So stiff. I know a lot of it's on us, but there we go. This could be an awful lot of players in that bad category, which does concern me, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. Let's get stuck into the next guy, and we've got Lockie O'Brien, pick 10. He's played a few. Oh, sorry, Liam Sumner first. Great name, Liam Sumner. Great name. Summer spelt wrong. That was again that big pick swap that we were talking about. But what did he end up playing? It was like 20 games, wasn't it? Has to be a failure. Has to be a failure. Lockie O'Brien. People complain about Lockie O'Brien, right? Now, peak 10, he was, right? And he's had a decent output, to be fair, for peak 10. Probably taken a little bit early, but Carlton had this thing of pairing players up, both Bendigo and under 18s. I can remember at the time, the guy I wanted pick 10, and I remember this one, is I was really into, and just shows you, but I was really into Ed Richards at the time. I really liked Ed Richards coming out of Casey Grammer. Cary Grammer, sorry. He was a big fan of mine. Just checking my draft notes there from back then. Has to be a failure, I think. He's never got on. Luke Parks, where he was, pretty impressive, to be fair, but you've got to be honest. You've got to be honest. It didn't work out, did it? Luke Reynolds, pick 12 in the rookie draft, never played. Bah. Mark Pitternet. Now, this is a bit of a positive. Mark Pitternet was 54 and 63. So when I do this, I always like to think, what were them picks used on? Right? So, Hawthorn, we didn't use pick 61. We on-traded it, right? And it became Ned Cahill, right? So the trade, it was on-traded, became Ned Cahill. We got Pitternet. Effectively, Hawthorn passed. So we got it, and we've got Ned Cahill back. Good. Good deal. Good deal, I think. I think that's fair. I don't think anyone can argue with that. You've got to look at it in the scheme of things as well. I like to try and think, what did list managers do? Obviously, we've got hindsight. They didn't. It would be a lot easier, I can tell you, to do the draft if you just had these players just ad hoc. You know, just fucking, you just knew what they did. It would be absolutely grouse. Mark Wiley. Jesus. So he was a pick 7. Sorry, he was traded for pick 7. So, Jesus, no wonder they did it. So, yeah, we got Bokhurst, Jacks, and Wiley. Matt Cottrell. Big Cotters. We love Cottrell. One of my favourites. A very good pick, PSD, it was. 43 games back in 2018. I think from where that is, that's decent, at the very least. At the very least. And Matty Dick. I remember being more of a child than I am now and giggling, but delisted free agent. Obviously, he was at Sydney. Never really played, did he? The Macedon boy. You probably have to say failure. Matty Kennedy, the boy. He would have been one that if we'd done this a few times, would have been up and down. But 28, very good. 28, very good. I don't think many people could argue with that. I mean, they could. Matt Gorchek, before Mason Cox, there was the Gormeister. It's a failure, but it was. Matty Lobb, we didn't pay much for him, but I never really was impressed by him either, even though he got traded on. Matty Owens, Cat B, you've got to say that's good. You want your Cat Bs and your loopholes, I think, to be good. if they play. And he has done. He's really developed. Rookie pick 3, 100 gamer, came to us and played like a 1 gamer. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's tough. Matty Wright, which means that I got someone wrong. Who did I put up at the top? That wasn't right. Oh, that was Alex Silvani. Sorry. Alex Silvani, from where he was, it was decent. Good. Matty Wright. Matty Wright. Yeah, good. Mickey Gibbons. That's my bad. I can't believe I did that. Mickey Gibbons. PSD 47. I thought he was decent. I think Carlton dogged him. Mitch McGovern, right? So Mitch McGovern is a very interesting case study, I always say. Carlton gave up access to Shane McAdam, right? Who's played 44 games. Luke Foley picked 26 and James Dorden 28, right? So I always like to do this and just say, let's just go back to then, yeah? Let's go back to then, right? And see what Carlton could have got around there. But they could have gone. There was probably not a lot there, really, in that point. You never know, though. Like James Rowbottom's just a little bit up. Would Carlton have traded up? Will Hamill, Bailey Scott. Like, it wasn't the greatest 2018 draft class. So you could argue that they got good. But then you take into account the injuries. And you take into account that pick 13 as well that we gave up, right? Which does kill you. Because that became Ned McElhinney. The future year. So I think it's under par. Very late pick. Sauce, I think very good. Paid absolute sweet FA for him. Get him in. Very good player. Nick Holman hardly played for us. He's gone on to have a good career. Oscar McDonald, Carlton paid literally nada for this guy. And it was refreshing because Carlton don't often surprise me. But PSD, 81 gamers. He played 5. Got struck down with injury. Is playing. So this is, again, Carlton being Carlton. But I would say under par. Paddy Dow, pick 3, not playing. It has to be. And it's stiff because I reckon he probably should be decent if we developed him properly. But it's definitely worse than under par. You can't make an argument, I don't think. Patty Kerr, failure. Cripps, superstar. Let's go back and look at Cripps as well. So bearing in mind, he was pick 13, right? And a lot of people slated this pick, just so you know. There is quite a few posts if you go around. People wanting Zach Jones. People, I do remember people wanting Luke Dunstan. Cam McCarthy was talked about. I think Carlton nailed it if you look in that draft, and that's hindsight. It was about his money. So, yeah, Reece Palmer, less said. Superstar, Doc. All Australian, probably spiritually our captain. Pig 33, next to nothing. It became Tom Cutler. No one's ever heard of Tom Cutler. Sam Durden, under par, but I'm not going to say failure. I'm not going to say failure just yet. I think there's still a lot of water to play out in that one. There's a lot to play out, but yeah, he's been injured. Sam Carriage, that's a failure. Jesus, Phil. When was the last time you saw him? Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? When was the last time we saw him? Sam Philp. He was taken. Let's have a look. Let's bring my thing up. Sam Philp was Jesus. Oh, I remember this now. It's all coming back to me. I thought this was Devon Robertson. I thought this was Devon Robertson or Thompson Dow. I love Thompson Dow as well. Sauce just gave up at 2019, didn't he? Outside of what? The Brody Kemp pick? He just gave up there. Sam Ramsey, jeez, that draft is terrible. Talking about Sam Ramsey, here he is. Old Ramsey. People loved the chef, as he was colloquially known. But he didn't play for us, so that goes there. He is a superstar, but people get excited. And it was the most obvious no-brainer since Nick Dacos that wasn't taken at pick 1 because people are too nice. But Sam Walsh, superstar. Failure, SPS, we destroyed him. TDK is an interesting one, right? Is an interesting one. And a lot of this could depend on whether he stays, but also if he leaves, right? And what we get for him. So it's going to be an interesting one. But you look at this draft, right? You look at this draft, and as a ruckman for a pick 30, not bad, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? Not bad. You look at Tristan Zeri, who went about 40 picks later. That then drops that down. But on talent, he's up here. I'm going to say decent, though. I think he's got more to go. And hopefully that more to go is at us. So we're nearly finished. Big Tommy Fields. Old Fields, eh? That is rookie pick 41. He played 2 games, to be fair to him, though. But I suppose you've got to put that in a failure. Tom Williamson, massive failure. Will Hayes, massive failure. Will Setterfield. Right? Will Setterfield is a very interesting one, right? Because Carlton gave up what became Will Gould and Ben Cavara, and we got Finbar O'Dwyer. But we did get 55 games out of Setterfield. We then traded him in that deal that effectively was free, but trying to help him out. But I would say just under par for us, and that's probably our fault because we didn't really give him a defined position. And talking about defined positions, pick 27, Zach Fisher. Right? This is an interesting one because I was huge on Shai Bolton this year. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to say that. I've got it wrong many a time. I was huge on Liam Stocker and I was wrong about that. But I liked him. So that being said, under par. Zach Williams. I love Zach. He's my boy, Zach Williams. So I've got to be honest there. But restricted free agent. So we gave, you got to remember, we gave nada for him, right? We played 24 games and he's been there, what now, 3 years, and he's out all this year. Under par, too soon to say failure, but maybe that's me being naive, but you could make a great argument to put that in the old failure category, and I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you. And we finished with Thomas Bugg. I remember him being signed and someone saying to me, he is a lock for being our best player. He'll kick 30 goals a year. So out of our 104 people, Carlton have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 superstars, which is roughly, what's that, about 7%? Let's have a look. That's maths it. Yeah, it is. It's 7.7%. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So roughly 10%. Good. And 12. So 12, 22, 30. We'll call it 30 to make it even. That's what? 30% hit rate. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. But there you are. If you want to do it, link is in the description to have a go yourself. Send it, post it in the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are. Look after yourself. This has been a lot of fun.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.